Why you should avoid shiny object syndrome, coming up. Hey guys, it's Travis Vroman. For those of you that are new here, this channel has daily videos on tips and tricks as well as industry advice for game developers. So if that's something that would be useful to you, consider subscribing. So today I want to talk about shiny object syndrome and what it is and how it can affect game development adversely. Shiny object syndrome is something that I've heard a lot about over the years, and it actually, I guess it is a real thing. I've read about it from several different sources, and what shiny object syndrome is, it's shifting your focus from one thing to another thing because it's shiny and new. And it sounds simple, but it's actually not quite as simple as you might think it is. So in other words, a great example of this might be you're working on a game project and then you get another idea for another game project and you stop working on the current project you're working on and you go and work on this new project. And then a month later, the same thing happens and you go and work on a new project. Well, now you started 3 projects and finished none. And the problem with that is it's cyclical. It's going to keep happening. Those new game ideas are those new shiny objects that distract you from actually completing your game. And so the problem with this is that you never wind up finishing anything. You never wind up shipping a game. And you're just in this constant cycle of development and never really getting anywhere. This is something that I struggled with for a long time, and it's one of the reasons that I don't have that many games out. I've started games a lot of times, I've started game engines a lot of times, and I never wound up actually releasing them because that shiny object syndrome kicked in and I found something else that was cool that I wanted to work on, and I just dumped whatever it is I was working on and went over there and did that new thing. It's one of the reasons I have so many projects on my GitHub, to be honest. Something that I'm going to be doing coming up soon, probably on live stream, where I'm going to go through and delete some of my projects that I'm not touching anymore and haven't touched in a long time, but I digress. So a couple of ways to avoid shiny object syndrome are, first off, always write your ideas down. Don't necessarily execute them right away, but get them down on paper so you don't forget them. That way you don't have to worry about, well, if I don't start working on this thing right now and I don't save my vision on what that thing should be, then I'm not going to know how to do it later on. Write down in as much detail as you can what it is that you want to do and set it to the side. Finish the project that you're currently working on and then pick one of those new things, because chances are, and I mean, I come up with ideas all the time. By the time I finish a game, I probably will have had 5 or 6 ideas for another game. And maybe those ideas would have been something I really wanted to jump on at the time, and now I look back at them and I'm like, maybe that's such a great idea for a game. But some of them I still think are really cool. And so I picked the coolest one that I think I want to work on and work on that one and see that one through to completion. And while I'm working on that one, I'll have a couple more ideas for additional projects that I also want to work on. And so what I do in these cases is I always make sure to write it down as much detail as possible. That way I can get it out of my head and put it to the side. So the point here is basically don't allow this new idea that you have to distract you from finishing what you're currently working on and getting that thing done and shipped and out the door. Instead, write it down, get it out of your brain, focus on finishing what you're doing, and then once you're finished with that thing and once you ship the game, then go on to the shiny thing and see if it's still as shiny as it was when you first came up with the idea. Chances are it's not, but it might be, you never know. So that's really my main point with that. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys tomorrow.